Hey guys, we are back. So, here's what we got going. Uh, I went ahead and extended the walls out like I said, but as you notice, I went a little further than what I had originally planned. Now, the reason for that was, this was what we had for resources before. We had this copper, this iron, this stone, and this coal. Now, this coal is feeding our power plant, it's feeding our smelting operation, what have you. And if we're going to do that large science layout, that blueprint, it does its own smelting, so we needed coal for that as well. So this coal was not going to last. And if you look at this map, the next closest coal, until we get trained so we can start training things in them, and we're definitely going to do a lot more trains this time around than what we have in the past. I haven't used trains as much as I'd like, and I definitely want to kind of do that. So this time around we're going to start doing that a lot more. But anyway, so the only other coal is down here. So I just went ahead and decided to go ahead and protect my entire pollution cloud. Now it looks like I'm missing some turrets down here. I'm going to have to get down there and take care of that at some point and put them in. But yeah, basically I just went ahead and cleared, did the whole thing. I went ahead and set up my mining for this coal patch, and I went ahead and set up mining on this iron patch and this copper patch. And I swapped this this coal was feeding this. I ran it up here, and I ran this one to our main plant. So this is going to feed our smelting and our power plant. This one is going to feed just our science production. Excuse me, because I decided to put my science production up here. And that's going to work because it's going to give us our copper, it's going to give us our iron, we can bring our coal in, but excuse me, man, it also allows me, some crude oil, because we need crude oil to do that. It does its own crude oil cracking and what have you. Now the only thing it doesn't have is stone, so we're going to have to either come up here and grab some stone, or there's a patch down here and we'll bring it up. Either way, we won't need that right away. That's for later on down the line. For red and green science, I don't think we're going to need it, but that'll get us started. So that's the plan. But in order to do that, we're going to need a bunch more factories. Now we're already making the single inserters, or the yellows. We're already making the belts, but we're not making the undergrounds, we're not making the splitters, and we're not making all of the other inserters, and we're not making factories. And those are the things we're going to need. So the first thing we're going to do is, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, now that we've got green circuits going, I'm going to build a setup for making factories, or making assemblers, because we're going to need a bunch of those. The other inserters and the undergrounds and the splitters, we'll get to those. But so let's go ahead and get this started. So what I'm going to do is, if you look, factories, it takes 6.7 seconds to build an assembler machine 1, right? Or no, whoa. I'm sorry. Is it 0.5 to build one? Crafting time, 0.5 seconds. Crafting speed, 0.5 seconds. Or crafting time, 0.5 seconds. Yeah. Alright, my bad. I for some reason was thinking 6.7 seconds, but that's total raw. So it's about the same amount of time for a gear as it is to make the factory itself. So let's do this. If we make this our gear production, right? And then we put in another one above it and make that our factory production. Then we need to bring in green circuits and plates, right? So if we bring in you know what, let me see something. It's 9 plates, 3 green circuits. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring one in there, and we will bring in that there, and that'll bring that in, and then we will bring green circuits in on the other side. There we go. Alright, so now we got them coming in, and let's put this out into a chest. Actually, let's do this, because that'll let us save on much colors. Alright, so let's see. We need 5 iron gears for 1 factory, but we're still going to need 1 of each of these, so what's going to slow us down is the green anyway, I think. Well, let's see. No, what's going to slow us down is the that's okay. You know what? I was trying to figure out and get my ratios on this right. I have to redo that to do it. I would have to add another gear to do that, but I'm not going to. This will still give us plenty and enough time. It'll get to it, right? Let's do 2 stacks. So we'll just let that run, and once we get blues, this will actually go a little bit faster. So there we go. So there's that. Now, what do we need for? We want to start tackling this now. To be honest, I don't know that I want to right now. I think right now we just want to leave that be. And let's get rid of that. As much of it as we can. And how many are we doing here? We got 39. Let's grab another stack of those. Let's grab that. And then let's grab a bunch of plates. Let's make 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50. And a bunch of those. Alright, that should get us going. So, mainly what I want to do is I want to get my science back running, right? So that's why we need to build these plants, so we can get our science running. Because we are going to go up there and we are going to do this science blueprint, but we're going to swap it over to the gray assemblers, and we're going to swap it over to yellow belts. We're just going to get it going. We can upgrade later. The other thing we are going to need is a whole bunch of stone, because we're going to need a bunch of furnaces. And since we have not gotten our upgrade to our furnaces yet, we're going to need to make 318 regular stone furnaces. There's 160. That's 320. That'll get us started on that, right? Okay. And then we're going to want we are going to have long-handed inserters, but we'll deal with that. We'll deal with the electrical later. We need 200 assemblers, though. The oil stuff doesn't matter right now because we're not up to that point yet in the research. We're just trying to get our red and green science. But since we're going to build it, we might as well build all of it as one piece. So 200 is what we're going to need. Alright, so we're going to just have to let that cook for a while, or we're going to have to build another one. Alright, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and build a second one. There we go, and that should be working. That should be fine. We'll let it run. Let's go up here and figure out where we're going to place this thing. Because I know we're going to have to clear some trees. Now the truth is, we're kind of putting the horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse on this. This is a really big blueprint, and we're really not ready for that level of production yet with our resources and what have you. We should build a smaller, like, little starter, you know, base, and then expand from there. But like I say, we're going to try and be doing this blueprint thing, so screw it, in for a penny, in for a pound, is kind of the way I see it at this point. Now we don't have cliff explosives yet, so we're having to kind of finagle this thing in such a way that it will fit. Now I know there's going to be some trees that we're going to have to deal with, but let's try it right there. And that's just kind of ugly insane, isn't it? But that's okay. We'll deal with it. This is going to work just peachy keen fine. Okay. I love when people do this. They put these constant combinators in and let you know what goes where. If you're making blueprints and you're going to post them, please use these, because that way the person using your blueprint doesn't have to scratch their damn head to figure out how to do what they need to do. Now, this thing is set up for 3 inputs right now. We only have the 1 input. So we are going to have to split it. And that's okay. We will eventually be making enough that we can fix that. And the truth is, I could bring over, oh shit, why don't we just do that? I mean, we've already got them, right? Because we actually do have 3 outputs from this field. There we go. So let's just bring all 3 of them over. And then we're going to do the same thing with the copper. I don't know why I didn't, well, I know why I didn't see that, because I'm stupid. Not really stupid, but just inobservant sometimes. We're done runned out. Alright, let's go get a whole bunch of belts, because we're going to need a whole bunch of belts. We're also going to want to build a whole bunch of nanobots. We probably ought to be making them, we ought to automate it, but we'll get to it. Again, like I say, we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but you know, life is life, right? Now ultimately, this little bit of production we've got here is going to go away, and we are going to have a crap ton of incoming production, but we're going to do that with trains. Alright, so there's that, and then we want a bunch of belts. Alright, so that's got us that, that's got us that, that's got us that. How are we doing over here on assemblers? Because we're going to want them too. Alright, so there's a few. So let's look at our upgrade planner. We're going to change that to that, that to that, and red belts to yellow belts, red undergrounds to yellow undergrounds, red splitters to yellow splitters. Can we, alright, so we can make long-handed inserters. Those we are definitely going to need, that we won't be able to use yellows. So there's that. What else is in this that's going to kill us for not having it? Nothing that I can see right now other than a filter inserter. We are going to need at least one filter inserter, it looks like. So let's grab a little bit of material. Copper, I think we've still got some sitting over here. Now we can make, we'll make 5 just to have them. I suppose we could make fast inserters and just start out with the fast inserters. 900 of them though. So it just looks like all the yellows that we're going to use are Well, shit. Guess we really might as well just go ahead and just do it. Just do it, right? That means getting rid of that. There we go. Oh, and did we? No, we did not. So we also want to change from these to these. And we'll go back to them later. Now that I know is going to end up wasting a lot of materials, but by the time we're ready to change that back over, it shouldn't matter. We should be making plenty. We should have plenty coming in by train, what have you. So let us make the swap. And then it's just a matter of letting our little guys do their little job. Now we are going to run out of these things pretty quickly, but we're making more as fast as we can. In the meantime, there are certain things that we can easily hand place without having to worry too much about futzing the works up. The reason I like using bots for these bigger builds is because invariably I will get one belt wrong or something like that. So by using the bots, it kind of saves me from having to worry about screwing that up. But there are certain things we can place without having to worry too much. Now, obviously, some of this is not going to function because of the fact that we have not done the research required for specific portions of this, but we can get started. And then we can go back later and put in what needs to be put in. So there are all of those. I'm going to leave this for the bots to do, but these straightaways I can certainly do myself. These long straightaways without too much fear of completely turning them up. And I have no doubt that we're going to have to go back and get more belts. So once we have this all laid out and working, we'll go through it and we'll look and see just exactly what they've done with this. I learn a lot by just going through and looking at other people's stuff and how they did things. It just gives you a new perspective and you know, maybe a way that you hadn't thought about before. Now, I imagine, like most things internet, that there are going to be those people who are going to say, what the hell are you doing that for, huh? And I understand that, and that's fine. I'm doing this because I want to do it, and because I like to do it. It may help some people, it may not help some people, it may not help anybody, it may not be interesting to anybody else, but it's fun and interesting to me, so fuck them. Nobody's holding a gun to their heads and making them watch it, right? I mention that because over on my other channel, somebody was, you know, playing high and mighty about, oh, you know, he talks too much and never gets to the point. Well, you know what? My channel, my rules, bite me. And I kind of understand it in some respects, because what has happened because of things like YouTube is this quick fix attitude. Everybody wants something in a really short, sweet, simple, easy to digest blurb or blipfert, if you will. Anybody recognize that reference? And it's one of those things. It's interesting. In my teaching of, not my teaching, but my learning of, actually, to be more precise, design and things like that. From design classes, if you go back and you look at what advertisements in magazines used to look like versus what they look like now, what you will find is that new advertisements, modern advertisements, if you will, not new, there's hardly any, if any, and rarely anymore is there any at all, text in magazine ads. Mostly it's just a picture, maybe a little blurb statement, or a one of these legal boilerplate statements. But generally speaking, it's a picture and that's it. Whereas if you look at an ad from, say, the 70s or so, what you will find is that the ads from back then had a shitload of text in them. In fact, they were mostly text. So the difference between then and now is readily apparent. And I'm not sure what that says about the laziness or lack of laziness or whatever of people today. But one of the things we're taught, and we're taught in those classes, is that you only have like 5 seconds to catch the person's attention and get your information across. After that, they're moving on to the next thing. So you only get a very short opportunity to get your information across. And that seems to be the same way things are with YouTube and everything else. Everybody wants it instantaneously, and they don't want to listen to stuff and whatever. Well, you know what? I'm sitting here playing a game. I'm not necessarily giving some big lecture. I'm just, as things come off the top of my head, I'm just yapping into a microphone. And I like it that way. Man, I like having nanobots. Now, They can get a little expensive because they're a one-time use only, unlike normal bots. Each time you use it, it expends. You know, it's kind of like the magazines in the guns. It doesn't expend one per, but it does expend them, and you have to build more. But they are handy, especially early on in the game. And you can certainly get used to having them. So our big goal in this episode is to get our research started, to get our science manufacturing up and running. Now, in addition to that, we might get our labs built too. Depends on how much time we got left. Because we are still going to have to run power in this and everything else. Like we are out of undergrounds and we're just about to be out of splitters. Yeah, we can make green. So the green science assemblers will show up. You'll notice some of these don't have anything in them, and that's because we haven't gotten to the technology level to build those yet. Okay, so it looks like we're down to just assemblers and inserters at this point. Maybe a few splitters, but we'll use those up soon enough when we get down in this area. But we can at least let them clear the trees and stuff. Get as much out of our hands as we can before we come back down here and you know, we go back down for another load of supplies. Alright, and it looks like we are also out of nanobots. We get all this set up, we're going to have to start looking for greener pastures for our base ores. Always something, right? Always after something. Let us get rid of what we can here. Alright. Want all of those. We want well, we're gonna need more of those, but let's now nanobots I think require no, iron sticks and repair packs. Repair packs require green circuits. So what we may do is just pick up a bunch of green circuits too. It'll save us from having to build them. Right, alright. We want as many of those as we can grab. Oh yeah, we want undergrounds and splitters. So undergrounds. Splitters. The problem is now we are out of belts. There's that, there's that. We're making our blue ones. Alright. Every little bit helps, right? So while we are waiting, we can put down what we've got. Trying to get through as much of this smelter area as I can without the bots, because it's pretty straightforward stuff. Now it looks like we are going to once again be out of some things, unfortunately. So I think what's going to end up having to happen is we are going to have to come back, because I don't think I'm going to get it all done right now, and it's going to take a while to build up more resources to be able to complete this, unfortunately. So we're going to use up what we can. might have to finish this up in the next episode, unfortunately. Yep, okay. Yeah, alright, there's that. So it has actually been nearly an hour at this point, believe it or not. We can get back, get one more load, see what we can get. And then we're going to have to call it an episode. We're going to have to split this up into 2 parts. And then the next thing we are going to build after this is we are going to build more smelting. We're gonna do that big smelting blueprint and start working on that, because we are going to need a lot of that. I don't think we're going to need the assemblers yet. I think mainly what we're going to need is our inserters. We're going to need a bunch of red inserters. Let's grab up some more inserters. Grab up some more iron. Alright, and then we need belts. Belts, 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 and lots of belts. Got undergrounds that are being made. Just about to have more nanobots. We'll let them do what they can do, and then we will call it an episode. And I will let this build up more materials, and we will come back and finish this up. But it'll also allow us, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and make sure we get rid of all of the damn trees within here. Even the ones that don't need to be removed. Let's get rid of all of them. Just for convenience and viewpoint's sake. There we go. because we can at least get rid of the trees while we're at it. Okay, so it looks like we're just shy on inserters and belt stuff now. Well, with the exception of electric, which we'll still have to do. But it looks like at this point we just need to let this stuff build up. And we can get this thing running. So there it is, guys. It is close to being finished, at least enough to be able to produce the sciences that we need to get started. Alright guys, so I'm going to let this build up, and when I come back, we'll finish it all up. So talk to you in a bit. Bye.